What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're back for career mode, episode number 77 of the My Team journey, the Italian Grand Prix. As you can see on screen, there's some pretty wet and wild racing that's going on. That was the last episode, the Belgian Grand Prix. Go check it out. Pretty mad episode on the grand scheme of things. A lot happened. I think it's like 40 odd minutes. So if you feel like having a bit of a career mode marathon, go check it out. But to bring you up to speed, how do I put this? We did 2 races in the last episode, and we came away with a big fat 0. And Lewis Hamilton leaving the sport. So, not the best day of the series, to say the least. But we move on to the Italian Grand Prix. It's Christmas Eve. I'm feeling festive. Let's hopefully send us into the holidays with something to cheer about. So we're going to bring some upgrades. Major tire wear upgrade. This will be a game changer, I think, for us. This will enable us to really go aggressive when it comes to the race strategies, and will really put us on par with the top 7 teams for the rest of this season, the rest of this journey, to be honest, unless there's a regulation change, which I'm dreading, because I'm only just starting to recover from the nightmare that was the winter break of Season 3 and 4. Please do not give me another tidal wave of, I don't know, depression into this one. It's a short season. It's not been many races. It's only been, we've had 11 races, and if there's another regulation change on the way, I don't know what I'd do. But anyway, we move on to the Italian Grand Prix, where I'm actually really hopeful of a fantastic result, because Monza, one of my better circuits on the calendar, very underrated. I know I hype up Monaco a lot, but Monza can sometimes be just as good, if not better than Monaco results sometimes. And the car really suits it with the upgrades that we've got on. We've got a lot of drag reduction stuff on. We've got the best engine on paper, I would say. We don't have the ERS upgrades of the Mercedes, or we don't have the fuel consumption upgrades of the top teams. But raw power, no other team can stand up against us. That's for certain. But we roll through practice 1 and 2. This is practice 2. This is my qualifying run. Had a big tank slapper out of the last corner at Parabolica. Just pushing a bit too hard there. We got 3rd, but it could have easily been a 1-2 for Marduk Motorsport. Callum Ilott topping FP2. So, yeah, I had a feeling that this was going to be a good weekend, and that 100% backs it up. So, we move into the crucial parts of the weekend with, I'd say, a lot of confidence. I think we can come away with a podium this weekend. That's going to be the aim. Maybe even a win if things go our way. That was, again, the replay of the incident. Lost a good 2/10 there, so that kind of denied us of topping FP2. But in the end, it doesn't matter. What does, though, is qualifying and the race. The latter of which is going to be raining. So we need to factor that into our setup plans and probably run more downforce. So it's time for quali then, and I'm going to race through this session a little bit given the pace that we showcased in practice. Oh. No. Callum, no. Callum's been knocked out in Q1 after topping FP2, the most representative session of the weekend up till this point. 8/10 off. 8/10 off the front-running pace. I can't remember now what I did, but I wasn't too far away in, 4th or 5th place or something, so that's horrific. That is absolutely horrific. I know he's a rookie. He's only had a handful of races in this sport so far, but in this package, this weekend was a big opportunity for him to stand up and show that he deserves to be in this seat next season. And I've got to say, he's really dropped the ball there. So we have to carry the flag of Marduk Motorsport solely on our shoulders this weekend. I don't know. That's just such a poor qualifying from him. The car is like I said, really suited to this circuit this weekend. I'm 7/10 off this time. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe some glitched qualifying times. I actually did go faster in this session as well. So the AI really ramping it up for qualifying 2. So we'll see how that bodes for the rest of the weekend. We move into qualifying 3 in just a moment. But I'm only just noticing now that both Red Bulls are out. Verstappen and Albon, who have the only real team that can really contest against Mercedes at the moment, are not going to take any further part in this qualifying session, which is pretty crazy. So we've got some relative backmark. Well, we've got some midfield runners well and truly in the mix. Kevin Magnussen is into Q3 in the Haas. In the Haas? No, he's in the Alfa Romeo. Even still, Alfa Romeo in Q3. That's pretty mad. But anyway, I said I was going to adjust the downforce. I have. I've gone from 1.7 in practice to 1.8. The extra click of rear wing will make the car a lot more stable in wet conditions. So I'm sacrificing Saturday for Sunday in the hopes that we can get a podium or even a win. With rain looming, you never quite know what's going to happen. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is qualifying. This is the last lap of the session. And I'm trying to get myself right in the mix. At this stage, we're running P5. I'd love to be on the front 2 rows of the grid, mixing it with the likes of Gasly's and Leclerc's. So we'll see how this lap turns out. But for this very final run, I actually increased the downforce again. I went from 1.8 to 2.8. So increasing the front downforce. Doesn't look like it's helping in the high speed. You can see I'm twitching a lot. And I'm losing the top end speed down the straights as well. So maybe not the best decision. Let's hope through Parabolica, the extra click of downforce will make a difference. As you can see, we go from being 700ths down to being 3 or 400ths up. So that was all the difference out of the last corner. But I've got to say, my mistakes right throughout the lap have certainly cost me a position in this quali session. I could have got Charles Leclerc there. Gasly, untouchable, I think. Certainly the Mercedes, untouchable in the 14s. Just casually ripping that hope of pole position out from under me. But in the end, the race is what matters. And the race is going to be certainly spicy with some rain languishing throughout the Grand Prix. So we're going to have to hope this setup is good in the wet. I've certainly set it up to be slightly that way, so we'll see how it goes.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship. And what a great race is in store for us today here at the oldest circuit on the calendar. Monza hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. With the rain coming down here at the 3.6-mile Monza circuit, the low-drag setups preferred by most teams could cause them some problems in today's Grand Prix. So watch out for cars struggling for grip around Parabolica, the last and most demanding of this track's 11 corners. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The fence starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Leclerc, Day and Norris, Sainz, Russell, Stroll and Kevin Magnussen, Ricciardo, Kvyat, Max Verstappen and Albon, Ocon, Giovinazzi, Callum Islet and Antoine Hubert, De Vries, Matsushita, Latifi and Mick Schumacher. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, let's see if we can push for a top 10 finishing position today.
Okay, so much to no one's surprise, it's raining, but the curveball is we're starting on dry compound tyres. Why are we starting on dry compound tyres, you ask me? I have no bloody idea. We should be on the inters. But Jeff's run the numbers, and the dry is the tyre to be on, apparently. So that's what we're running with, and everyone else is, for that matter. So this will be interesting. 5 red lights, and away we go for unlimited wheel spin. It's wheel spin for me. It's wheel spin for Norris, Leclerc. Everyone is wheel spinning off the line. However, we're underway for this Grand Prix. As we head down into turn 1, this is absolutely treacherous conditions to be racing in. I just hope that this isn't one of those races where we're awkwardly on the dries for the whole race. That's just a nightmare. I've had far too many of these races. Codemasters, please no. In other news, let's hope that it's a race to the pit lane to chuck on the intermediate tyres. I'm swiftly going to ask Jeff what the deal is with the weather, but for the time being, we've got to get used to these conditions. It's an absolute nightmare because we're racing against AI, and you need to remember that they're on the pace straight away. Maximum attack, maximum push. They know the limits of their car in these conditions. I'm a player. I'm a human. I'm flawed. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how much grip I've got. I've got to find the limit, and that's going to take me some time to do. Meanwhile, Lando Norris, well, perhaps showing he's flawed too, and he is finding those limits a little bit more extremely than I am. Maybe he got spun. That is a bit of a weird place to loop round. I think he did get touched by someone. Who that is, I don't know. But he's down the back of the grid, and his afternoon is going to be awfully tough from there. Daniel Ricciardo, great start from him in this opening lap. He's up to P6, having started P11 in this Italian Grand Prix. Here's a bit of a squabble for P2 as Gasly and Hamilton are getting into the side of each other. I'm oversteering all over the place as Ricciardo slides up my inside and takes P5. So what a great 2 laps that Daniel Ricciardo has had in this Grand Prix. The Renault is a really fast car. Maybe too fast, as he's really approached turn 1 with a lot of apex speed, clattering into the side of Charles Leclerc. As we go on board with Ricciardo, we need to check that front wing because there was a bit of contact down at turn 1. Is it okay? It seems okay from the cascade elements of the front wing. Looks like he got away with that one. But yeah, the Renault, ridiculous in a straight line. Maybe even faster than us. I think they've got maximum drag reduction upgrades applied to their Renault. Meanwhile, here comes Sainz. I know you're there. I see you. I'm not going to let you through, but I see you. So, yeah, bit of a struggle at the moment. Just trying to find the grip. It's really frustrating, knowing that it's just going to take me a few laps just to get accustomed with the conditions. But it's one of those things you have to deal with. Lucky escape for us there as we lost the back end not once, not twice, but 3 times there pretty much on the exit of the first chicane. All of a sudden, I shifted up into 4th gear and then I just got so much torque. The rear wheels couldn't deal with that. And luckily for us, we actually went into the barrier with the rear tires, with the rear end of the car. The front wing didn't touch, thankfully, because we're on sim damage, and sim damage does a lot in side-to-side contacts with other objects. And most of the time, in fact all of the time, the wall will win. So don't pick a fight with a barrier on this game, on sim damage. Still, we wait on the dry compound tyres. Pit window is open. It says to go to intermediate tyres, but that's only because I pre-selected the inters as the incoming tyre. I'm waiting for what the AI are going to do. They're going to dries again. They feel that the soft is the best tyre for the conditions. It's that weird phase where we're just kind of in the transition period.
This light rain is going to be with us for a while now. We're not certain which is the best tyre right now, dries or inters.
And I don't want to be the clown that chucks on the intermediate tyres and goes 5 seconds a lap slower, because you just know that that's going to affect the player. If the AI did it, they'd be absolutely fine. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to what the AI are doing in a way. I'm going to go to the mediums, though, and do that variation, because I have a feeling that this is going to be, yeah, one of those weird races where it's just going to stay underneath that threshold of needing the intermediate tyres, and it's going to stay awkwardly half wet, half dry the whole Grand Prix. So they go on mediums, guaranteeing that we only have to do this stop and that's it. Those who are going on to the softs again have to put on the mediums or the inter. They have to use 2 different sets of dry compound tyres in what is technically a dry race. The DRS hasn't been disabled. That sign has never come up. Actually, Did it ever say DRS? No, I've seen people use DRS. So the DRS hasn't been disabled, in which case everyone has to use 2 different compounder tires. So by that ruling, we're in a really good position to win this race, I think. We need to see how it all plays out and make sure we don't lose a pit stop to the race leaders. We're keeping decent pace at this stage. We have made the odd mistake or two, but we're still within a fighting chance maybe of being in the mix. You never know. We're at the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. I've just got my first warning of the race. So we're absolutely fine in terms of track limits. I've been pretty respectful of that so far. I've been weirdly driving within myself just to make sure that we can stroke the car along and they're not stressing the tyres too much. But at this phase, we're not feeling overly fast. I thought the medium was going to unlock a lot of pace for us. Normally, or on previous games, the medium has a wider working temperature, which means that these tires used to be a lot faster in changeable conditions like this. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. But meanwhile, Albon has got past us. That's no real surprise. He's in the second fastest car on the grid. He used DRS to get ahead of us, so DRS still is enabled. So technically, this is still a dry race, if you can call it that. But maybe I should have gone for inters. I don't know. It may well be worth the gamble later on if there's any kind of strategy variation, if there's a safety car or anything like that. Oh my goodness! The safety car's out! If there's a safety car. Oh yeah? Codemasters say safety car deployed then. Let's see. Let's test you, Ben. Let's see if you'll stick to your guns and put on the intermediate tire. Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. But at the current moment, I'm going to stay out on the mediums, and I'm going to completely contradict myself. I'm going to get myself some track position. We've jumped Hamilton. We're going to move over to the inside to prevent him from dive bombing us. And that's going to be an okay situation for us. Now, I don't know if that safety car has actually helped us, to be honest, because the race leaders made their stop under safety car and they actually gained a lot more time. So we would have gained a pit stop if it stayed green flag running, actually, and the people who stopped again would have lost more time. But in actual fact, they've gained time and they're right on my tail with fresh tires. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that. We've got 8 laps to go. Tires are very cold. It's quite hard to keep temps in them when we're just running around at like 50-60% pace, which might make it an impossible scenario to get going for the final few laps. It may well be worth going to the Inter.
They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Okay, problem for Stroll. He's behind me, so that's no issue. But I'm going to have to work really hard here to work my tyres to make sure they're ready to go for the restart. But you can see this is Nicholas Latifi making a stop, and he's going to intermediate tyres. So he said, enough's enough. I'm in the back of the field. I've got nothing to lose. And that is a telltale sign. If one AI driver comes in, it means they all will. So we need to be on the ball here, and I think we need to come in straight away for a set of intermediate tyres. A lot of teams here are going to double stack, and so we could gain a lot out of this if we are aggressive. So what does everyone do? Do they come in? Yes, everyone is coming in except for Carlos Sainz. We can gain a position on Albon into the pit lane because apparently yellow flag rules don't matter on the way into the pit lane. I learned that the hard way in an open lobby not too long ago. So we've gained a spot on Albon. People are going to be double stacking. We're at the end of the pit lane, at the end of a busy pit lane, so people are going to be held. We can gain a lot of positions here. Onto the intermediate tyre, 1.9 second stop, and we rejoin in between the race leaders of Bottas and Gasly. So effectively, I think we are now in the running for a podium. We are effectively P2 in this race if the rain is heavy enough. And I'll tell you what, it actually looks heavier now that we're under this safety car period. As you can see, I'm going for a desperate lunge on Bottas under yellow flag conditions. Sometimes they allow overtaking when it says catch the safety car queue. You can overtake someone who's going slowly. Obviously, Bottas wasn't going slowly, but I just thought I'd test the waters and see if I could get the effective lead of the Grand Prix. It's not very often we can legitimately win a race. And so I just thought I'd push the envelope there to see what I could get away with. And got a slap on the wrist from the FIA there, but we're fine. We're getting ready for green flag running now. This is the safety car making its way into the pit lane. Bottas is not getting on with it here. We need to close the gap to the cars ahead because they're either going to stop in a second or they're going to be slipping and sliding maybe for the rest of the Grand Prix trying to get to the end. And they're all in. So effectively, we're in P2 in this Italian Grand Prix. It's back to green flag running. I've got to let Bottas go back through. He's taken P2. Gasly's got a great run. Here comes one of the Ferraris in the watching brief in P4. That's Charles Leclerc. I'm going to the inside to try and overtake Bottas, but Gasly has other plans. My brake upgrades, or lack of, really letting me down there. So now it's a drag race between myself and Gasly. I've got the slipstream of Bottas to help me, but the brakes in this Marduk Motorsport car are not upgraded at all, so it's actually really hard to outbrake these guys. I did my best job there and just about got away with it. Back into P2, we're ahead of Gasly, and for just 5 more laps, if we can hold on, this will be the best result of the season, I think. We got like P5 or something like that at Monaco. We were able to make the most of a brilliant strategy there, but this would be truly magnificent if we could hold on to this, or dare I say it, even put pressure on Bottas. So let's see. We're managing to stay with him at this stage. As the laps unfold, it looks like we're actually getting a little bit stronger in this race. I think the tyre temps were a little low when we got back to racing. I do run minimum tyre pressures, and so you'd expect that. It's going to take a little while for those to come up to normalize, but I'm getting faster. I'm pumping in faster lap times on inters than what I did all race on the dries. So it kind of begs the question why I was on dries the whole time. Maybe we could have been in with a really good chance of winning this race if we switched earlier, as Antoine Hubert has retired from the session. He's got a reliability failure out of the last corner. Doesn't look like the safety car will interfere. Hopefully the marshals can clear that away by the time we get around the next lap. Hopefully he's pulled away in a safe place. But yeah, we're going purple. We're the fastest car on the circuit, or one of. The fact that we're pumping in these times, sector after sector now through to the line, 25.1. 25.1. I think the fastest lap of the race is a 24.7 or something like that. I did ask Jeff, and we're getting pretty close to that ballpark figure. But we're running out of laps now. I believe this is the last lap of the Grand Prix. Still the gap hovers around a second. I'm getting close to Bottas, but I'm not close enough to dive bomb him. And I'm not massively faster than him. So it's going to be quite difficult to overtake this guy with such little time left in the Grand Prix. If there was more time, maybe, I don't know. But we certainly could have done with some DRS. If this was dry conditions, anything's possible. I would have been able to fly past him, but in the wet, it makes things a little bit more tricky. We do get ever closer to Bottas. Again, a purple sector on this last lap. So the pace is there, and we're the 8th best team on the grid at the moment, albeit there's absolutely nothing separating teams 2 and downwards, but still, we're the 8th best team, and we're going to come away with our greatest result of the season, nearly winning this race. First place is right there. We're a second away from winning a Grand Prix in a midfield car. How's that for a performance?
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you've pulled through. Thank you.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
Wow, what a race. What a race. For the first time this season, we get on the podium, and we very nearly well won the bloody thing. 1 second away from getting a win. 1 second away from glory. That is quite possibly the best result possible we could have achieved from this race. I mean, yes, I did tease the fact that if it was dry, I might have been able to overtake Bottas with DRS, but I really didn't consider the fact that the Mercedes was like 9/10 or something ridiculous faster than me in the dry, in quali. So let's gloss over that. And the fact that the others behind me probably would have got DRS and overtaken me. So I think in the end, we made the most of the ideal scenario of being on the Inter. We did set up the car for these conditions, and the pace at the end was phenomenal. I mean, Bottas' best lap. Okay, maybe he set that best lap in the dry, but for whatever reason, my pace came massively forward relative to those around me, and I was able to hold on to, stretch away even from the rest of the field behind to Pierre Gasly. 2.5 seconds to him in an AlphaTauri. That AlphaTauri is a beast this season. So I'll absolutely take that. Big haul of points in the drivers. Leapfrogs us up to P14. And the standings right behind Lando Norris on 33 points. And in the constructors, that's going to do a great deal of good too. We'll cut to that screen in a minute. But Callum Ilott, yeah, if only he qualified better, could have been up there with us. I think he was caught up in that crew that reacted too late to the intermediate tyre. Hamilton and company. Hamilton didn't get points today, I think, because he reacted too late. So those guys really lost out. Maybe I could have won the race if I switched to the Inter the very first opportunity I took to come into the pit lane. Maybe then I would have won the race. But the risk would have been way too high to be the first one to dive it on Inters. I've made some bold strategy calls in my time in the past, and we've all seen how they've gone up. So I didn't want to make a tit of myself for the 100th time on my channel. So I played a little bit safe and banked the points. Hopefully you guys can understand that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you need to see plenty more racing game content. Not many more races to go in the season now due to its shortened nature. So look forward to a fiery end to the season. The episodes are going to come thick and fast. And before you know it, Daniel Ricciardo will be back.